The truth about people moving to Costa Rica is that the majority of foreigners that actually move to Costa Rica end up leaving within the first few years. When we first found out about this was something we definitely wanted to research deeper because we were like, okay, is there something that we're not seeing, or could this happen to us? Like, what is there that we're missing that is super important to know when moving here so that we're prepared for the best and the worst case scenario?
There's actually way more good things about Costa Rica than there is bad, but we definitely think it's super important for anyone considering moving here to know about these 10 things before deciding to make that important move to Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's so important, and it'll maybe save you a lot of time, money, effort, and emotions. So let's get into it. The first thing to know if you're thinking about moving to Costa Rica is that there is quite an underlying tone of hostility and anger and frustration towards foreigners that are coming here and buying land. This is because of many factors, one of them being that the government firstly has a law that allows people from other countries to just buy land here. Second of all, there have been so many foreigners moving to Costa Rica that it's become unaffordable for a lot of locals now to afford anymore. So that means that a lot of locals that maybe want to have their own homestead and want to buy land can't afford it anymore. And so every once in a while we get a comment from a local that says that we're contributing to the problem of gentrification here, which is true because as a foreigner, if you're coming here, you will in some way be inevitably somehow contributing to gentrification. So the best thing that we highly recommend you do is to really make the effort to learn Spanish and to really be open to hear all the stories of locals all around you so that we can integrate better into the culture instead of causing more gentrification and more segregation and more separation. I would say definitely like the first thing that we just want to mention is that yes, sometime along your journey you will bump into a local that is just not happy with you being here and will say it maybe to your face or will write it in a comment and will be like, get out of this country, you know, like we're not happy that so many people are moving here. So that is definitely the first thing to be very aware of.
Yeah, it really gets me down sometimes when like randomly we get a comment that says like, you know, go back to your country or like get out of here. It's like, wow, like man, it really gets me down sometimes because like my soul feels really at home in Costa Rica. This feels like home to me. But yet there is this story of like we were all born into the country we're born into. Like we have these shells we call human bodies. And like yes, I was born into this world, into the United States with this white skin body. But I don't resonate with that. I don't want to live in the US. And I came to Costa Rica and I feel at home here. And so since my soul feels so much at home here with the people, our Tico friends around us, and our neighborhood and our local neighbors, it just like really gets me down to know that someone says, get out of here, you're a foreigner, you're a gringo, like you don't belong here. Like for me to feel so at home here and to have such good Tico friends here, it like really gets me down sometimes. This is kind of the culture and underlying problem here is there are going to be quite a few of local Ticos that have that hostility towards you just because you're a foreigner.
Yeah, and we understand why that is because we have been to certain areas in Costa Rica where even we didn't want to stay there because there is a huge separation between locals and foreigners, and even us, we come in and we're like, what is this? Like, where is the integration here? Where is the friendship? Where is the effort to even try and learn Spanish? And so because of the same reasons to why Ticos are often then pissed at us, we actually have that same feeling sometimes where we're like, okay, we want to live somewhere completely with locals, which we are, which is why we've never mentioned to you where we actually live, because we're private like that and we want to integrate well into the culture here. So it's definitely something to take into consideration, especially if you're moving to places that are more like hotspot towns for expats. Then you can come across this hostility more, and the best thing we can honestly do is to just firstly be open to learn these things and to hear the stories of locals and to try and integrate, to try and learn Spanish and to try and learn the ways of life here. And that's a big responsibility, I feel, to anyone who wants to move to Costa Rica, that I feel like that person should take on. So if you want to move here, then take the responsibility to really learn how to integrate into the culture here. Because if you're thinking you're going to come from, let's say, America and you want to bring your way of life over here, then that's not going to work, because you're going to have a culture shock for all the reasons we're about to go deeper into in this video. But yeah, just wanted to say that, as it's just super important for us to mention this because we experience it sometimes, and it could be that you will too. So just be prepared, and also just try. I guess the best thing we can do is to raise awareness and to have these conversations that are quite difficult.
The biggest downside of moving to Costa Rica and living in Costa Rica: shipping your things here from all around the world. You know, there is no Amazon Prime 2-day shipping here. You know, if you're the kind of person that loves to order things online and it arrive to your doorstep within a few days, like, you know, most of the US or Europe, you know, the Amazon Prime culture, here the culture is pura vida, and although you can get things from all around the world here, it's going to take on average around 2 weeks, plus you're paying for shipping, plus you're paying for the high import taxes on those goods.
Yeah, and not just that, but I just want to point out that it's also really hard to receive things here because you literally don't have a proper address. So imagine, like, if you're living in the countryside like us on a specific mountain at the end of a road, that is your address. You literally have to describe to the delivery man, oh, I am 200 meters after this store, you turn right, the second road, at the very final end of that road. When my dad tried sending me something a few days ago, he literally said this was the longest address he has ever written in his entire life on a letter, and he's also totally unsure if we're even going to receive the parcel.
And so are we.
So we don't know.
Like, so when you're ordering things, it's not going to be like 516 Black Tree Lane.
No, there's no lanes here, first of all.
Your address is going to be you riding exactly 12 meters past the church, the street in front of the high school, and we are at the house with the wooden gate with the blue columns.
Yeah. So firstly, it's really inconvenient to ship things here. It's really expensive. You don't have a proper address. A lot of it has to do with just hoping that you will receive your parcel and not really fully being sure that you will.
The next reason why you should reconsider moving to Costa Rica is if you absolutely hate bureaucracy, you hate dealing with governmental stuff, with papers, you know, and all these legal things. Because here in Costa Rica, what's so funny?
You're so intense about it.
Why is it so intense?
Because you hate papers.
I hate papers. I hate doing governmental stuff. And here in Costa Rica, it's like you gotta go to the bank or go to this governmental office and submit ABC document.
It's
and,
so true.
And when you submit ABC document, they're like, oh, I forgot to tell you, there's a E, W, F, and H document. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me that. You know, there's like so many like documents and forms and stuff like that. It's like, if you hate that stuff, maybe Costa Rica is not the place for you. So piggybacking off of this, the next reason is the situation of banks here in Costa Rica. It is not a smooth sailing banking system here in Costa Rica. You can't just open a bank account when you arrive here. You need to be a resident to have a bank account here in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and not just that, but you also, when buying property, for example, if you're trying to send money to a local person here, you may have to prove where your money came from. You may have to show them that the money's been in your account for at least 2 years. And for us, for example, the bank didn't even want to receive our payment for the land because they were like, oh, crypto money? What is that? That's definitely money laundering. Here's the thing, it was not. But in Costa Rica, they have all of these strong, strict regulations with banking because they're trying to minimize anything to do with drug cartels. So when you move here, you can definitely expect to go through headaches with banks, and opening an account may be stressful, transferring money may be stressful if it's anything bigger than $10,000. Buying a car could be stressful depending what car you buy, but it's definitely a thing here. And we talked to our friend who lived here for over 10 years, and she said by far the biggest thing she did not like about Costa Rica was the whole situation with banks. She's just had way too many headaches with it. So this is something good to know, because if you're prepared for this, then you won't get a shock when you actually are ready to buy your land and then the bank is like, no, you're a money launderer. What?
Imagine us sending like our life savings and all the money we have. We're so excited to buy this land, and we send it to the owner, and the bank is like, oh, hang on a minute, let's just take that and put that on pause. We're not going to send it to the owner. Oh, we're not going to send it to you. We have it. We are the middleman, and we have all your money here. And we're not money launderers. We are not drug dealers. We have nothing to do with drugs. But yet they still held our life savings because we did not have proof that we had this money in our bank account for 6 months because we had cryptocurrency investments.
Yeah.
And so we did not know that. You might have to prove that money has been there in your bank account for over 6 months.
So just as we were about to share our next thing, we couldn't because it started to rain, and that's actually one of the reasons as well why you should possibly not move to Costa Rica, because if you're a person that doesn't do well with rain or high humidity, then this is not the place for you, because the truth is there's probably more rain than sun in Costa Rica, and it's also the reason why there's such an abundant, lush jungle and so many varieties of fruits. There are so many amazing things about the rain, but what that means is, on the other hand, there's also a high risk of mold because it's just so humid and wet here that it's very easy for mold to form. So you always need to be very aware in your home and wherever you're at. Is there mold on the walls? Because mold is super toxic to the body. You do not want it anywhere near you. But also, once it is near to you, it's very hard to get away. You always need to make sure you have great ventilation in your home. And mold is a big problem here. And it's mainly because it is so wet and humid and rainy here.
We have fruit trees. We love rain because we don't have to water them manually.
It's so true.
The rain provides the water for the rivers. We love swimming in rivers, and so rain is not a problem for us.
Probably one of the most annoying things for me personally is I'm in a workflow, I'm so excited, I'm like, woo, it's easy to edit right now, I'm like going all in, and then suddenly, bam, the fan goes out, the electricity goes out, the internet's gone.
The most important thing, the refrigerator.
The refrigerator's off, and this happens very frequently in this specific cabin for some reason, but then we found out that this is quite a common thing all around Costa Rica, where you experience an electricity or a water outage at least once a month, And it's very, very, very frustrating because let's say the water goes out and I want to take a shower because I was sweating all day, and I can't take a shower, I can't flush the toilet, I can't use my refrigerator because the electricity is out. Sometimes both happen at the same time, and that's very frustrating. It really, to me, doesn't feel very good because I also feel like, oh wow, like this is really out of my control. Like, even though Costa Rica has 99.9% renewable energy, you still have electricity outages, and it's not because of the source of the energy, but it's because of the infrastructure. So that's a big con, I would say, in my opinion, because if you're a person like me that likes sustained flow, likes to have everything, super stable and set, and then your water goes out and your electricity goes out, and this happens like once a month, that can be quite annoying.
So you just talked about what annoys you about living in Costa Rica. Let me get into mine.
Okay.
So we hired someone to chop our grass on our land because we don't have a machine yet, and then they arrived and they might as well have been blind cutting our grass because they were just cutting all of our fruit trees, and it was like pissing me off because like I told them before they started, I was like, please do not cut the base of our fruit trees. Please be careful. Do not cut those. Those are not weeds. Those are our precious fruit trees.
Those are his babies.
It means a lot to us because our fruit trees are like our freaking sons and daughters.
Yeah.
It means that much to us. And so I was very clear. And when I came back after a couple hours after doing an errand, I see like my precious daughters and sons and my babies, they were just basically cut.
So basically what he's trying to get at, what really annoys him here, is the sloppy and poor work that is quite frequently found when building houses, when building anything.
You really have to keep an eye out to make sure if you hire someone that they're doing good quality work.
Oh yeah, so we have a friend here. She ended up losing literally $20,000 because she had to redo so many things in her house construction because of poor work. It's kind of difficult, because when you come here, maybe you don't know how to build a house. So you oftentimes don't even know at first what is wrong until later on, and things start falling off, or I don't know, like it's just not right. And it's like, hold up, but I hired you to do this well. Why didn't you just do this well from the very start? And then she had to hire out a whole nother team to come back and do all of the repairs. It's really sad, and it's quite common here to have stories of people experiencing very poor work. You can find really good people to work with you. You just have to find them. You know, it's not like everyone here.
Yeah, there's a common word here, like a local slang in Costa Rican culture for sloppy work. It's called chambon. And so that's
you know that word now.
I know that word by heart now after my poor situation with the fruit trees. May this word never come across your path here in Costa Rica, I pray.
So the next point that I want to share with you is that there is quite a macho culture amongst men, certain groups of men, not everyone. You know, I have local female friends that don't feel safe at all going to clubs at nights or partying at night. Even if they're a group of women, they don't feel safe because there is this little bit of a macho culture here. The language that is used, or objectifying, or making jokes, or not feeling safe when men get intoxicated. It is more of that that dominance energy. It's not everyone.
Like males like better or more supreme than women kind of thing?
Pretty much, yeah. So another reason why you may not want to move to Costa Rica is if you're like Mar and you get annoyed at doing border rounds. He's trying his best to work through it as much as he can because it is very annoying to go every 3 months out of the country.
Costa Rica feels like home for me, and it's just annoying that a place that feels like home, I have to actually leave because I'm not a citizen of this country.
So as you notice, it started raining again, so we're gonna try and deliver our final point over the rain. The final point is
the cost of living. So in comparison to the neighboring countries of Costa Rica is definitely not the cheapest or on the cheaper side of living in Latin America. You know, you're not going to want to come here if you're trying to get the bang for your buck.
But just something to know, you technically could live extremely cheaply here in Costa Rica. Like, you could build a cabin for $5,000 made out of wood. You could spend less than $500 per month for rent and food for 2 people if you want to live like a local.
But let's be honest. Over 90% of people that move here and they want to live like a foreigner. So they're foreigners and they want to move to Costa Rica and they want to live like a foreigner. If you're an American coming to Costa Rica and you want to live like an American in Costa Rica, you're going to be paying a similar amount for cost of living.
Yeah, it still could be like 25% cheaper. To be aware, it is still very expensive here because, like we said earlier, import taxes are high and anything you want to get from another country is very hard to get, so everything gets more expensive. So all of that really adds up to it being quite an expensive country to live in if you're looking to maintain your lifestyle just as where you came from.
But Howard, let's explore this.
Yeah.
What if you're a foreigner that wants to move to Costa Rica and live like a local? You can live
very cheaply.
Very cheaply. But let's get into the practicality of what this means. That means you're going to be eating rice and beans almost every single day, cooking at your house almost every single day.
You're going to build an average Tico home, which is very simply constructed, very
moderate.
Small, moderate.
The cost of living definitely depends on how you live in here. Are you living like a foreigner, where you came from, or are you living like a local? Because if you live like a local, you can live on $1,000 per month for everything.
For everything, or less. You could honestly live for $500 a month if you were to live like a local.
Yeah.
So definitely the most important thing when coming to Costa Rica for it to be a successful move, you definitely need to be open to change and to learn a new language, to be open to a whole new way of living, because if you're trying to do everything the way from where you are, then it's going to be quite a big culture shock. So adaptation, openness is the biggest key to having a successful move to Costa Rica, which guarantees that you'll be staying here for more than 2 years, and you won't be one of those people that will leave within the first couple years. Thank you all for watching this video, and if you have any other questions, make sure to write them down in the comments below so we can answer them, because we're here to support you.
Pura vida.
Pura vida, mate.